Hi, I'm sure most students wonder how to crack one of the most toughest papers that they have to go through when they are doing ACCA, which is the audit paper. I know there are so many faculties out there who will say that don't take audit as your first paper. But you know what I do at FPA? I let my students sit the audit paper as well, even if it's their first paper. Why? Because if you have been able to crack one of the toughest papers, your rest of journey becomes so much more easier and doable. So in today's session, we're going to cover how do you make sure that you are able to crack the audit paper, in fact hopefully even get a rank. But before we do that, like always, thank you so much for all the love, comments, feedback that you've been giving me. I truly appreciate it. If this is the first time that you've come to the channel, can I urge you to please hit the subscribe button, to hit the like button and the bell icon. I promise you I will only do videos that will help you in your ACCA journey as well as your overall finance and accounting. Now coming back to the audit, which is, I understand, one of the most difficult papers. And why not? Because audit is a complete theory paper, of course barring a few ratios that you may be required to calculate when you're doing procedures or risk assessment. But other than that, it is a complete theory paper. And why theory paper is tough is because unlike other maybe qualifications where you can do a rote learn and then you can get your marks, unfortunately in ACCA rote learn is not your option. You will have to really understand what is the scenario and apply your learnings to get your appropriate answers. So therefore I understand that the students definitely struggle to pass. And of course, if the passing rates are any gauge around the difficulty, then yes, audit paper does have one of the lowest passing rates when it comes to the skill level. Like PM and audit have a very tough fight on which one is the more tougher one, right? But in today's video, like I said, I wanted to discuss how do you make sure that you're able to get easy marks. You are able to make sure that you not only crack the exam, but you're able to get very good marks. How can I say that? Well, at FPA, we have been following certain proven principles that have helped our students to beat the global averages every time that they have set the exams. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that unlike a practical paper where you can draw a skeleton and you can put your easy numbers in, and I've actually done another video that talks about how can you get easy marks like in tax, right? In the audit paper, you obviously cannot do that. But what you can definitely do is follow a very standard format to writing your answers, right? Believe you me, once you have been able to get a standard format in writing an answer, now please do not misunderstand that as a rote learn. In no way you are rote learning. What you're only doing is that you know that these are the 1, 2, 3 things that I have to cover. Now you write it in your own manner, right? But you have to make sure that you've covered these 3 things and you will be able to get very easy marks over there. So I have actually done a lot of shorter videos which I put it in a playlist for audit and assurance, where I have discussed almost all the key syllabus areas, and I've spoken about what these structures are. But I thought that today's video is just to reiterate how you can really pass the audit paper, which is one of the most toughest papers for the students, by using this structure. So let me just talk about one of the most problematic areas that students find, which is the procedure, right? Because a lot of audit paper will be revolving around procedures, whether it is around risk, whether it is around control, whether it is around substantive procedures, but the procedure is going to be there, right? You're supposed to write a procedure. Now, procedure are plenty of them, and if you try to remember all of them, trust me, even I can't do that, right? Despite having teaching ACCA for so long and audit paper for a very long time, it is very tough to remember all the procedures. But what you can do is that you can remember the structure whenever you have to write a procedure. Let's say for example, you are supposed to do a substantive procedure on an asset, right? Now the standard format is, whenever you're doing a substantive procedure, is that what is the action, what is the source, and what is the evidence that you are seeking. Now, very simply, action is, in my acronym that I do cover in the class, is AEIORR, right? It's easier to remember. So we are talking about analytical procedures: inquiry, inspection, observe, recalculate, and reperform, right? So when we do action, you will always have to pick up one of the actions. Let's say you will inspect, right? So you have an action which is inspect. Now, what are you inspecting? You are inspecting a source that will give you that information. Let's say you are inspecting a title deed. So you write that you will inspect the title deed for the given asset. Now, what is the evidence that you're looking for? You are looking for an evidence to confirm that the company has the rights and obligation over the asset. When you see, of course, the title deed is in the name of the company, right? So you have a nice simple structure which it tells you that do only these three things. Tell me what is the action, what is the source that you're going to look at, and then what is it that you are trying to get from it. It is evidence that tells you that the rights and obligation over an asset belongs to the company, right? Now, I have done other videos, short videos as well, talking about what these assertions are, because evidence should always be linked to an assertion. Because if you do not link the assertions to it, that means as an auditor, you're not fulfilling the evidence requirements that you need, right? Because it has to be telling you something about the nature of the transaction or whatever other assertions that are there, right? We at FPA have converted them into PACO and PACER. Now, what they are, I've done some videos around it. Please make sure that you look at them. So coming back, this is one procedure and you're done and you get your 1 mark. The same you can do with trying to confirm the existence, right? So how do you do that? Now, when you are trying to confirm the existence, it is always from inside to outside. That means you are going from the books. So you will pick up the schedule, look at the asset, or you'll pick up an asset register, look at what that asset is, and then come outside and confirm whether that asset actually exists or not. So you will inspect the asset register and then select a few assets, go and physically inspect them and see if they exist or not, right? So your inspection is one of the actions, your source is your asset register, and you're going and physically checking them for existence. So your action, source, and evidence, right? And that is how you do all the procedures. Now, this procedure is there for substantive procedures, but the same you can do when you're trying to find out what to do with risk or controls checking, etc., right? Now, you see that there is a structure. Similarly, let's say if you have a question around risk, which is a permanent setting in your paper, you need to understand that when you are writing about risk, you have to follow structure again. What is the risk, right? Why is it a risk? And how does it impact your financials? So if it is a new company, you will write that it's a new client for you. Why is it a new client? Because you do not have any background information. How does that impact your financials? The opening statement or the opening balances can be misstated. There you go. Nice and easy, 1 mark in your pocket, right? And that is how, guys, you capture easy marks just by sticking to the structure, right? So for audit, if anyone wants to really crack the exam first time around, like most our students at FPA do, you have to follow structure, and believe you me, no one can stop you from passing the exam, right? So I hope you find this useful. Please do make sure that you share it with your friends and family, especially the ones who are scared to sit the audit paper. And if you need any further help, please feel free to reach out to me. Make sure that you go through the playlist where I have discussed these structures for all the types of settings that you have in your audit exam paper. On that note, all the very best and thank you so much. Bye bye.